Too short. Needs more angle iron. So I'm going to try to make myself a longboard. The thing is, I'm not going to use the tried and true method of gluing thin layers of wood together and pressing them into a concave shape. No, for better or worse, I'm going to try to do something experimental. I'm going to use a relatively weak piece of plywood for the deck, and instead of making that really strong with the glue and the layers, I'm going to reinforce it with a steel framework. Again, this is an experiment. There's going to be some pros and cons. I think the pros are, it's inexpensive. The wood I'm using is a 3-layer plywood sheeting, which is really cheap. And the steel I'm using for the framework is from a discarded bed frame. Another pro, I think, is that the steel is going to make it really strong. I weigh about 215 pounds, and that's getting kind of close to the weight limits on most longboards. Now as for the cons, first of all, it's going to be heavy. According to what little research I've done, longboards kind of range between about 7 and 10 pounds. My old skateboard here weighs about 7¼ pounds, but I got it in 1990 and I think they were a little bit bigger back then. We'll just have to see how much this weighs when I'm done. Another con is that it's probably going to be completely inflexible. Most longboards have a little bit of flex to them, and it makes the ride a little bit more comfortable. If this even works, I may be in for a rough ride. As you can see, most of the work goes into this metal chassis. It's made up of 2 main beams and 2 smaller pieces which cap off the ends. It also has 3 braces in the middle which will support the main wooden deck. The deck will be bolted onto the frame using these small tabs. I'm using an angle grinder to carve out the pieces with the cutting wheel. I'll use a bench grinder to clean up the edges. Sorry y'all, but my wife has photosensitive epilepsy, and there's a lot of people out there who suffer from it. Welding footage is a bit too flashy, so I'm not going to show my welding. It's probably for the best because I'm not very good, and when you see the aftermath you'll know I didn't bring in some ringer to do it for me. So the other day I was at the sporting goods store, and I knew they had a skate section. I went over to look at the longboards because I was curious as to how much they weighed. I picked one up and oh dear, it was so light. I may have made a huge mistake. This longboard is going to be a heavy beast. So I'm just doing some simple stripes for the artwork. I picked some colors that should look good with the wheels and the frame. One thing that I'm doing, and this is just a personal quirk of mine, is I'm making the design symmetrical. I don't want this board to have a definite front or back. Now you'll notice that I'm doing all of this painting and finishing work before even putting it together and testing it. This is because of my absolute rock-solid confidence. There is no way that anything can ever go wrong. Never, ever, forever, never. And just so you know, this isn't some kind of post-recorded audio. I am absolutely tempting fate. I'm a little worried if the trucks will make contact with this metal frame in a turn. There's a decent amount of room, and this 1/4-inch spacer helps. One good thing is that if contact is made, it'll hit the axle and not the wheel. At least it won't stop the board and throw me off. Well, here it is, ready to ride. I used a digital scale, and it clocks in at 14.6 pounds. Bit of a chunk. I'm really happy with this glossy resin coat. It should protect it, and it looks good too. You may be wondering about these gaps in the deck. Well, that's just my personal vanity. I wanted people to know on first glance that this was a somewhat unique design, and that I had added to the collective knowledge of humankind, you are welcome, Earth. The edges of my grip tape are a little sloppy. I watched a bunch of pros do it on YouTube, and wouldn't you know it, harder than it looks. The wheels and trucks are generic. I know you're not supposed to skimp on those, but here we are. Are they on backwards? I don't know. Does it matter? Let me know in the comments. I'm pretty sure the comments are going to eat me alive on this one. Well, I guess that's about all there is to say. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some thrashing to do. Is that what people say? I don't know. Cut. Now, if you need anything further, you'll find me gleaming the cube. I will be carving the road turkey.